Hey, what is going on, everybody? My name is Zach, but you can call me Hazardous. Thank you so much for tuning back into my channel, and welcome back to another Red Dead Redemption 2 Q&A video here on the channel today. This is episode 13, so thank you guys so much for tuning back in. If you want to have a chance to have your question featured on one of these Q&A episodes, just be sure to leave your question down in the comments section of this video with the hashtag HazardQA so I can read your questions. Let's start off with question number 1, guys. This is coming from Zach Frey, and he asks, do you think there will be a special edition PS4 Pro that launches for Red Dead Redemption 2? Now, I do think the possibility is out there, Zach. We could totally see this. I don't know if Rockstar's done anything like this in the past, but it's definitely more likely that we'll see a PS4 Pro console that's Red Dead Redemption 2 themed as opposed to a Red Dead Redemption 2 themed Xbox One console, because of course Rockstar has their partnership and exclusivity partnership with Sony this time around, so it's more likely we would see it on the PS4 Pro like you asked. But I don't know the likelihood of us seeing one. I would love to get one, because picture having your PlayStation 4 Pro wrapped in like a Red Dead Redemption 2 theme livery, and a vinyl. It would look sweet. I would definitely pick that up. I would be one of the first people to pre-order that console, that's for sure. One, because I need a PS4 Pro, and two, because I'm obsessed with Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Redemption 2 right now. So I hope we could see something like that. The likelihood of it, though, I am not too sure. Question number 2 comes from Banana Gaming, and he asks, how many animals can we fit on one horse? So that's a good question, and it was kind of confirmed in the gameplay trailer, actually. It wasn't outright spoken of by the narrator for the first gameplay trailer. Maybe she'll talk about it more in gameplay part 2. But as you can see, if you guys go back to the gameplay trailer, of course you can carry a deer or an elk or some type of big animal like that on the horse's back. You probably won't be able to carry a moose or a bear on the horse's back, but you'll be able to carry like a small doe, or maybe even something up to the size of an elk. We'll just have to see. And then you can also hang rabbits on the side, and those are going to be, you basically use ropes and tie rabbits' heads along the side of your horse, along the side of the saddle. So you could probably hold maybe 4 small sized animals, whether they're rabbits or raccoons or skunks or whatever you're trying to hunt. You could put those on the side. So it seems like you can hold up to 5 animals, 2 small animals on both sides and 1 medium to large size animal on the back of your horse. And that seems like where we're at right now with that. Question number 3 comes from Sky Fox, and he asks, how do you think enemy gang hideouts will work in single player? They didn't show a lot of gang features besides our own in the recent gameplay trailer. If we were to clear out a gang in their hideout, will it fill back up over time? That's a good question, because it was mentioned by Rockstar, of course, that they're going for realism. And so, if you like shoot a shopkeeper, the town's gonna remember that. They never answer the question of, will the shopkeeper be replaced by someone else, or will they just kind of spawn in? And I think for important people like that, you can't like kill them forever. Maybe just like random NPCs you could kill off forever and you won't see them ever again in the game world. But for someone like Herbert Moon, who's owning the general store, I don't think necessarily you could kill him off permanently. I feel like he'll come back. And the same goes for these gang hideouts. It would kind of take away from the game and the replayability factor if you were to clear a gang hideout and it just became barren and you could take it over as your own little camp or base. It's going to fill back up over time, whether it's with members of the same gang or different members of the same gang, or if it's an entirely new gang that's taken over that gang hideout. I don't know. It's probably going to be one of the former, of just like different NPCs from that gang that you cleared out that they take back over that stronghold. That seems like the likely reason. Question number 4 comes from Marcus Breeden, and he asks, do you think the treasure map you get from pre-ordering the game is the same treasure map that comes with the collector's box? And just for the fact that the pre-order bonus map is like just one small treasure, and Rockstar mentioned there's going to be treasure hidden all over this map that you can find, the collector's box map I think is going to be totally different. They're going to be 2 separate treasures. Of course, the collector's box, you don't get the game copy with it, so if they gave you the map to find it in game and it was just like the same one as the pre-order bonus, it wouldn't really make sense, because you'd be getting the same thing twice. Although game companies like EA and Activision would do that to their fans who order the special editions and collector's editions and things like that, Rockstar's not going to go that route. The pre-order bonus treasure map and the collector's box treasure map are 2 totally separate things, but they're probably going to both lead to treasure in game. Question number 5 comes from Weston Douglas, and he asks, do you think we will see peyote or other consumables in Red Dead Redemption 2? That's a really good question. We saw peyote plants in Grand Theft Auto 5, and when you took them, you turned into like a Sasquatch or a squid or a shark or any of those things. I didn't really follow those Easter eggs that much, and I can almost guarantee we're going to see something similar in Red Dead Redemption 2. Now, of course, Red Dead Redemption made a big deal of picking herbs and flowers and things like that out in the wilderness, and you're going to be able to do the same in the second game, Red Dead Redemption 2, but we'll see if you can consume any of them yourself, and they could act like peyote or just like marijuana or anything, or, you know, magic mushrooms and you just start tripping out all over the place. It would be a really fun Easter egg to be able to take part in, but I don't know if Red Dead Redemption 2 is going to go that comedic of a route and kind of silly and over the top like Grand Theft Auto 5 did. Of course, if we look at the new Outlaw Essentials collection, if you look at the name brand companies within the game, they're pretty funny. So Rockstar's doing their play on words again and those tongue-in-cheek type of jokes with the brand names where they're all silly, like Gooch brand and things like that. It's pretty funny in my opinion, so maybe we'll see some type of peyote thing where you could just trip out and have a blast in the story. Halloween Michael Myers 2 asked, do you think dual wielding will be more powerful? So I think two things about this. Dual wielding in the game, first of all, it's going to be absolutely amazing. I'm super excited for it. But there's going to be an advantage to dual wielding and there's also going to be a disadvantage. Because usually in games you have to have some, if something's more overpowered than anything else, there's usually some type of counter to it or something like that, or just some type of trait or feature that makes it undesirable to some type of player, so they won't want to use it. And now for dual wielding, of course, you'll be able to get like 2 sawed-off shotguns or 2 pistols or a sawed-off shotgun and a pistol or vice versa, whatever you want, right? Pretty much you could dual wield 2 type of single-handed weapons, so you can have 2 single-handed weapons in your hand and start shooting with both of those. I think obviously you're just going to be more powerful overall just because you have 2 of those weapons, but you're going to have worse accuracy, especially if you're using like 2 pistols. You know how there's like the dot that you'd be aiming at with like 1 gun, and that would be like your reticle. Maybe with 2 pistols it's still going to be that 1 dot, but you're going to miss a lot more shots. And if you're using like a shotgun and a pistol, the shotguns gonna have a larger spread than normally if you're using a shotgun. There's going to be some type of disadvantage that Rockstar adds into the game that makes you not, you know, super OP and overpowered when you're using dual wielded weapons, especially in multiplayer. Question number 7 comes from Suckamother and he asked, you think we'll have cooking and eating? So of course, eating is confirmed in Red Dead Redemption 2. When you return to your gang's campsite, you can eat with the other gang members, but cooking is something that wasn't really confirmed. We could see the pot of like food that's steaming and boiling over the fire at the gang campsite, and I actually made a video on one of those features in the game talking about eating. And whether you'll be able to manually cook food, I don't think so. If you're gonna manually be able to eat, I don't think so. It's not gonna be like, you know, hold RT to lift your hand and put the, you know, piece of steak in your mouth. It's not gonna be anything like that. But it's gonna be like you go back to the campsite, you probably head over to that, you know, bowl of food pretty much, and you hit a button and your character sits down and eats and then he gets back up. You know, like we've seen in Grand Theft Auto 4, Grand Theft Auto 5, games like that where it's just you press a button and you watch, like, it's not like a cutscene, but it's more of just like an animation of your character doing that type of thing. Cooking though could be really fun. I would love to become like a professional chef in the game, and I'm sure there's going to be an option when you go over to the bowl of food to like stir the pot so, you know, all the veggies and meats get you know, steamed properly. I'm sure that's going to be in the game in some fashion, but I don't think you'll be able to manually have any control over cooking or eating in the game. Question number 8 comes from Roman Good, and he asks, how many hours do you think the story will be? So the story for Red Dead Redemption was about 20 to 25 hours. If you took your time, you could spend up to 25-30 hours playing the game. If you rushed through it, you could do it in like 10 hours or 12 hours if you really wanted to. What I think the game is going to be, I think it's going to be about a 30-hour game. It seems like Rockstar is trying to take as long as they want with this game, especially because they've taken 8 years to develop it. It's going to be absolutely amazing. It's going to be one of the largest and the most detailed maps Rockstar has ever made. And so I think the story is going to reflect that as well. There's going to be so much to do. In terms of the main story, I think it would be, if you try and rush through this, I think it'll take you about 15 to 20 hours. Of course, it still seems pretty fast, but you should see some of these speedrunners who like fly through Rockstar campaigns. Of course, you know, you just learn the fastest ways to do things. You can exploit the shit out of it and like decrease your time by half of what it takes someone to beat the story. But I think if you just try and not take your time so long as to see every little crack and crevice of the game, obviously that'll take, you could probably spend hundreds and hundreds of hours on one story just doing that, just trying to see what everything in the game has to offer you. But I think just in terms of going through the main story missions, it'll take you about 25 to 30 hours is my guess, Roman. Question number 9 comes from Rage Killer, and he asks, how do you think the ending will play out? So I've talked about this in a video on my channel before, and I kind of want to revisit it, probably in another video as well, so let me know down in the comments if you guys want to see it. But I think the ending of Red Dead Redemption 2 will play out as this. Obviously, we start in 1899, but in Red Dead Redemption 2, the strange man talks about the wreck of Serendipity and a botched robbery that went wrong in 1906, and that's when the gang splits up. And so this 7-year time span, this is a perfect way to have the whole story of Red Dead Redemption 2 play out. You know, you see the progression of time, and then obviously the gang falls apart. And so if they include the wreck of Serendipity in there, obviously we could see West Elizabeth in the leaked map. So I'm assuming the wreck of Serendipity is going to be some riverboat that ends up crashing on shore there. that's where the robbery goes wrong. That's going to be the end of the game, or at least it's going to be the climax of the game where John's left behind. Something happens to Arthur that makes him not be mentioned in Red Dead Redemption 1. They're going to, you know, come up with their own reason for that. Of course, they didn't have a reason when the game came out because it wasn't even conceptualized as a character yet, but in this game they're going to have to explain why. They're just going to have to attribute some meaning to it, and so we're going to see that as well. So I think around the ending of the game will be around the wreck of Serendipity. The robbery goes wrong, Heidi McCourt gets shot in the face, John Marston gets left for dead, and something happens to Arthur Morgan and the whole entire gang dissolves. That's pretty much what I think is going to play out at the end of the game. Question number 10 comes from Void420, and he asks, do you think you could still do time in jail if you get caught? And so I do think so. As you could see that literally at the beginning of the gameplay trailer, Arthur Morgan's in jail. I feel like honestly that's like the beginning of the game. Like it seems like that's just the way the game starts out, is like you go through a tutorial mission, Arthur gets arrested, and then he gets broken out by the gang. But I do think you're gonna see those similar types of things in Red Dead Redemption 2 if you get put in jail. The gang is gonna break you out in some fashion. They're not necessarily always gonna blow a hole in the wall with dynamite, but they could kill the guard and get the keys and just let you out. It's gonna be some cool thing like that, but I almost can guarantee you Arthur will be spending time in jail, just like how John Marston would spend time in jail in Red Dead Redemption 1. Question number 11 comes from Trixie, and he asks, do you think the wildlife will extend into online multiplayer like it did with the previous Red Dead? So yes, I do think the wildlife is going to extend into multiplayer. I was really bummed to see it not be extended into multiplayer into Grand Theft Auto 5, but that just wasn't the vibe that they were going for with the game. We're obviously going to see it in Red Dead Redemption 2 online. If the Red Dead Redemption 2 map and online was barren of wildlife, that would be a huge letdown. That would be something that EA would do, I feel like, with their games. Rockstar won't let that happen. They have the processing power, especially with the new consoles. We're going to see animals all over the place, and it's really exciting. Lastly, question number 12 comes from Robert Stewart, and he asks, do you think we can own stables sort of like garages in Grand Theft Auto 5? And yes, we saw it in the gameplay trailer. There was a horse at the stable. There were a bunch of horses in a bunch of stables pretty much. And whether we're going to be able to own them in the single player, I don't know. It seems like we didn't own that one. It seems like we just went there to buy the horse. But in multiplayer, we're going to be able to own stables for all of our horses, and that's kind of going to be the vibe of the game. I'm really excited for that because of course the gang's on the run in single player, so they can't really have like a true physical stable. They're just going to tie their horses up around trees and hitching posts and things like that because they're constantly on the move. They're constantly mobile. But in multiplayer, when you own a ranch or just a campsite and things like that, whether you could buy your own stable, build it, whatever it is, I think there's going to be stables that you can own in some fashion in multiplayer in Red Dead Redemption 2. So that wraps up with all the questions that were asked for this Q&A series. Again, I picked like the best 12 that I saw. If your questions weren't featured in this Q&A, just ask them again in the next Q&A and down in the comments of this video pretty much. We had so many amazing questions asked. It was really tough to choose the best. You know, they were all kind of related in some fashion in terms of different features in the game and things like that. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's Q&A. If you did, please drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Check out my Red Dead Redemption 2 playlist down in the description. Follow me on Twitter at HazardousHDTV, and I will see you guys in the next Red Dead Redemption 2 video. Adios, amigos.